Welcome back. The King of Mondays on Friday. Listen, no matter what day it is, he's the king of that day as well as the king of Mondays. A king is a king no matter where he goes, no matter what day it is, no matter who's around him, he's a king. And we have to acknowledge you and your presence and what you bring to us, my brother. You are a king. And it's an honor to walk beside you and to help out and to be the plate or platform for the wonderful meal that you are and the knowledge and nutrition that you bring.
Well, greetings, brother. As always, I appreciate the kind words. And, sometimes, well, no, all the time, when you hear something being spoken about yourself, it depends on what the source is. And certainly coming from someone like you, that really means a lot. So greetings to you, brother. It's always good to be with you and the family, even though it's Friday. A lot of times in the past when things happen, you know how we get frustrated because we move off of our own senses. But a lot of times it's the creative spirit that's moving the goalposts for a purpose. And you don't have to always know what that purpose is, but maybe it was meant for, maybe there's someone who needs to hear us today that wouldn't have been available on Monday.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited today because as I was speaking to you earlier, I get a chance to stick my chest out a little bit today because this individual, this great creative spirit, she and I, both of us went to Morgan State. And of course, I was telling you that she was one of the reasons why, along with my mother, I got a major interest in physics at 18 years old. Because when I went to all of the different departments at Morgan, and I went into the science building and the physics department, and I saw this huge picture of her with, her NASA outfit on and everything. And I was just very curious. And so that summer, I actually took a course my first year in physics. I purposely went to summer school, which I wasn't going to do, but it wasn't part of my regular curriculum. So I had to kind of go outside of my core curriculum. And man, it was an exciting experience. And I always tell this story before we put your banner up, another great banner and description. I always tell this story how my mom, when I was about 8 years old, Lance, you and the family, you know this story, but this is more appropriate for Dr. Valerie Thomas today than any other situation I can think of. When I first became aware that there was a difference between man and what they call God and how they can spin narratives and the actual creator of the universe. And I learned that through my mom. I told you we were so fascinated with these plants she had called 4 o'clocks. So, we come home, run home every day at 4 o'clock to see them bloom. Right. And so this one day, you remember the story, Lance, right? So one day, so one day we rush home, me and some of our friends, we're out there, we're throwing our football around because we're waiting for the plants to bloom. And it might sound like we hadn't lived a boring life, but really we didn't. But we were so fascinated by this. And so 4 o'clock came and the plants didn't open. And as I always say, we were like, well, did God forget to open the plants today? We're looking at my mom. And in her calm voice, she said, well, nature doesn't operate off of man's law. It operates off God's law. Right. And that was the first time I realized that there was a bigger picture than what we were being taught about what man was talking about in terms of a God. And unbeknownst to us, it was daylight savings time. So at 5 o'clock, the plants magically opened. And
Wow.
that sent me on a lifelong search for this creator, because I knew that it was a power greater than what we had been told in religion and wherever else we heard about.
Yes.
So yeah, I celebrate this sister today, man. She has a fascinating story, and we're gonna deep dive into this today. And as always, brother, if you want to start out with your banner,
Sure.
we can go into it. Okay.
There you go, brother.
Yes. Great banner. Absolutely a great. Well. First of all, she was a NASA scientist, physicist, and inventor, and we're gonna talk about her real quickly and talk about how. And I wanna point out a few things before we actually get into her. Is that one of the reasons why America is in the situation that it's in today is because we have lost our sense of mission. So we went from improving the planet to wanting to go back to a time when people were treated as less than human.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself, as we say all the time, is a major contradiction from what the Creator has shown us. And so when we shed the light on people like Dr. Valerie Thomas, it reminds us of this huge mistake that we have made, because now all the focus is on greed. You take out your own mom and daddy for your bank account. We've lost our sense of mission. And more importantly, we have failed to pass this down to subsequent generations, which is the most important. And that's why I always put so much emphasis on our genetic memory bank, because as we're going to show, this is something that needs to be talked about in the Black community in terms of refocusing ourselves, because again, we are the ones that are connected to the electromagnetic spectrum. And it's interesting that her particular interest in physics came from an event, or one of them, the major one in terms of her invention, where she learned that light could be manipulated. Okay, so we all know the story. When she was a little girl, she saw her dad take apart a television, and the insides of it. She was curious. And we have a lot of our children like this, but our girls, and of what age, as long as when they're old enough to start being aware of social media, the images that are set before them is what is destroying. And again, I want to make this point because I know how our people are trained to think. I'm not saying that the women or the young women that go into these industries are bad. I'm saying that because they don't have the right inspiration in front of them, which is our job, then they look at this Azul system as the do-all and be-all, and the attention that comes from that, the faith. So she was one of the things that she, oh man, I thought I blocked that. One of the things that she was responsible for in a huge way was that she, sorry, Lance, I thought I blocked that, but it came through. Sorry about that, Lance. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
Lance?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I don't know if you
Hold on
can
for a
hear
second.
me.
I don't know how that through, but let me do something here, and I'll continue to talk
Right.
She
I can hear you.
actually is a big inspiration. And that's why I always talk about the genetic memory bank, because that is so important to how we move our young people forward and remind them that they are special in the sense that they have gifts inside of them that when it is nurtured, then it can affect the world, obviously. Can you guys hear me okay, Lance?
Yes, loud and clear, brother. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm, uh, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, why this went down. Uh, Hold on, give me a second here. Let me see. Let me do this, Lance. I'm gonna keep talking. But yeah, so so when she saw her father take this TV apart, she was fascinated. And you know, at the time, little girls were discouraged to go into a predominantly male-dominated area, which is
Exactly.
mathematics, science, and physics, or areas. So she checked out, the story goes, she checked out a book, right? And this book was about electronics, but it was for little boys. How about now? You guys can
Yeah, I can hear you. It sounds a little choppy, but I can hear everything. It just sounds a little
Hey,
muffled.
Lance,
Like, yeah.
let me see what's going on here. My sound sounds really low, but you guys can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It wasn't as clear as before, but
Okay.
we can hear every
Is
word.
my
But
voice low or is it loud enough?
no, it's loud enough. It's loud enough.
Okay. So I don't know what happened. I'm not, you know, of course we know what's going on. But anyway, so she actually in high school, in high school, she actually still developed this interest in physics, but again, she was not encouraged to basically pursue that area. One of the other things that I saw in terms of this was that within our genetic bank, when we talk about the Dogon, when we talk about Benjamin Banneker, we see this gift that's passed down through the centuries, okay, through our people. And I want to point out something today because, of course, we know that the Dogon, we know that they were the ones that discovered Sirius B, that were able to see with the unaided eye. They were able to see the movement of the stars. Okay, and it was verified, centuries later by Western scientists that they were accurate in their depiction of a star system that should have been impossible to be seen by the unaided eye. Same thing with Benjamin Banneker. Here we had a guy who was an astronomer, and we're going to see how his ability to read the stars so that Washington, D.C., our capital city, could be set up on a prime meridian, and that there would be no way to set the boundaries of that city if he didn't stay up all night deciphering the stars and then relating that to the surveyor on the ground, okay, Ellicott. So, in that same sense, I began to meditate. I was like, this is the same gift. In fact, Benjamin Banneker um, produced the first almanac that helped people predict. I think he even predicted a eclipse, but it helped people in farming and agriculture um, to be able to know, when to plant the crops, when was the best time, and when the weather and the fertile soil and the rain and all these things, which we see today that this is had the same gift, but it was used in modern technology. So let's talk about that. There's an interesting conceptual correlation between Benjamin Banneker and Dr. Valerie Thomas. Benjamin Banneker's almanacs and Dr. Valerie Thomas's illusion transmitter were separated by almost 200 years. Now that's fascinating in itself. But both demonstrate the use of mathematics, observation, and scientific information to expand humanity's ability to understand the world. Now let's look at the how they're correlated. First, Benjamin Banneker used astronomy and mathematics. Dr. Valerie Thomas used optics, mathematics, and engineering. Benjamin Banneker calculated astronomical events, and Dr. Valerie Thomas created a system for producing 3D visual illusions. Benjamin Banneker published scientific information in his almanacs, and Dr. Valerie Thomas developed technology for transmitting visual information. And lastly, Benjamin Banneker helped people understand celestial phenomena. And hey, sis, how you doing? And Dr. Valerie Thomas helped advance 3D visualization technology. There is a powerful intellectual continuity here. Banneker and mathematical observation of the heavens, scientific information. Thomas's optical visual representation of information. So in other words, she developed and invented a device that allowed her to analyze the information that was coming from the satellites down to Earth from space, which was basically the same thing Benjamin Banneker did. So you could think of Benjamin Banneker as helping people calculate and understand what was happening in the sky, while Thomas helped develop technology for visually representing information in 3 dimensions. Okay, and that's an important distinction. Now I want to fast forward to the picture with Morgan State. I want to, yeah, thank you, brother. So I know you guys can hear me good then, because normally I can hear myself, but for some reason I can't now, which is not important as long as you guys can hear me.
We hear you loud and clear, brother.
So again, you know, I'm very proud today. It's not anything wrong with being proud of our, you know, our great brothers and sisters, because oftentimes, you know, we're always given a projection about the fact that we have not contributed anything to America, where in the scientific sense, but we know that to be false and to be a lie. And it's a very sad commentary when you look at the fact that here's a woman that should be plastered all over our history books for our children and young women to see. I've been in this building, this administrative building, I don't know how many times, but over a 4-year period. And I just want to say that a lot of times when we look at our HBCUs, one of the things that we forget is that it not only does it give us a sense of accomplishment, but it also continues to inspire subsequent generations of our people. And you know, sometimes, a lot of times, HBCUs get a bad rap. One of the reasons is for that is because of the social aspect that's applied to it, but that's in all universities all over this country. So Valerie L. Thomas is an American physicist, computer scientist, and inventor who made major contributions during the 31-year career at NASA. She is best known for inventing the illusion transmitter, for which she received U.S. patent 4,229,761 in 1980. The invention uses concave mirrors to create realistic three-dimensional optical images and has influenced technologies used in areas such as medical imaging and 3D display systems. And we're going to talk about how very important her invention is, which is, by the way, still being used by medical, in the medical industry and the scientific industry and the gaming industry and the video industry. And it's $1 trillion invention, okay? So let's just keep it real. Some of her key achievements, including joining NASA in 1964 as a data analyst after earning a physics degree from Morgan State University, helping develop image processing systems for the early Landsat Earth observation program, making satellite imagery more useful for scientific and agricultural applications. Also leading work on the Large Area Crop Inventory Experiment, or the LACI program, which demonstrated that satellite data could be used to predict global wheat production. And also managing the Space Physics Analysis Network, or SPAN, which connected thousands of researchers around the world and supported scientific collaboration across NASA and institutions. Thomas retired from NASA in 1995 and has continued to mentor students interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is appropriately called STEM. And in 2018, she was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in recognition of her pioneering work. Now, again, when you look at situations such as the modern day, the weather predictions, or people they call meteorologists or whatever, this pioneering technology was very important in developing this industry where you can now know weeks out when a hurricane is going to hit, when there's an eclipse coming, all sorts of things that happen here on the earth. This sister is directly responsible for this. Okay, so brother, let's go to the picture where let's see. Let's go to the picture where you see that space satellite.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, so I want to bring out some important points here about this. Okay, now Valerie L. Thomas made several important contributions to science and technology, but she is best known for inventing the illusion transmitter, which received a U.S. patent in 1980. Now, the story goes that she went to an event, a science event in 1976. And at that event, she saw, or you can look at it as a hologram in a sense, but she saw a demonstration that changed her whole life and was the impetus for her and this groundbreaking invention that actually changed, okay, that actually absolutely changed the space program in America and catapulted us uh, above all other space programs at that time. Um, but she saw the concave mirrors and light and a light bulb being projected off of it, and its image was then reflected in space, like in the air. Okay. And she was so fascinated. Now, this is a prime example of what I stated earlier, that our children and many children have these gifts, but we don't spend enough time honing or honing, not horning, honing these gifts in order to improve the world. But we're being led by people who say they worship a God that we know is not the creator of the universe. Okay. And so it the primary goal of this is to keep you focused on this with these uploads, where you're not focused on the development of our children, which now they are in limbo because we have not picked up the torch, and there's a huge vacuum here. Um, and kudos to you, Brother Lance, for allowing this series to go out, because this is extremely important moving forward.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, so when she saw that image and she saw that light could be manipulated in that way, then the light bulb went off in her head. Okay, now let's talk about what her invention did. Her work improved the world in several ways. You notice it said the world. And just like all of our inventors that we have covered so far, their inventions did not just improve life in America. It was a global changing apparatus. Okay. Now, she advanced 3D imaging. The illusion transmitter uses mirrors and light to create realistic three-dimensional images that can be viewed without special glasses. This technology influenced later developments in 3D displays and imaging. So when you see this huge industry of gaming and video games and all these 3D, people don't think that this was a Black woman who is responsible for pioneering this technology, just like everything else when they sweep us under the rug. It improved medicine. The principles behind her invention have been applied to medical imaging, helping doctors better visualize organs and tissues for diagnoses and treatment planning. So again, I always say, and that America would still be in the 19th century or the 18th century without the inventions of our great inventors. Okay, now imagine this gives doctors and nurses or any type of medical practitioner the ability to do things that they would never have been able to do prior to this invention and this knowledge. Also, it contributed to space exploration. And you're looking at how this was done right now. So previous to this, the images that came back from the satellites, NASA had no way of analyzing it. Okay. So, but she was responsible for developing the software that took these images, analyzed them, and allowed it NASA to be able now to look at and control things on the earth that previous to this we did not have the ability to do. Okay. So again, I want to point out how very important this is. And Benjamin Banneker was able to do this without the help of any type of technological devices. So, you know, we know that this is a gift that's within our people because we are connected through melanin to the electromagnetic spectrum. And we know from Dr. Loyola Africa and primarily from Dr. Richard King that melanin allows us to perceive things outside the normal synapses of the brain, which is powerful in its own right. But again, I want to point out that this invention of hers allowed her to analyze things that eventually helped with the weather, where the agriculture, okay, and all sorts of the medical industry, science, computer graphics, all of these things now came into play and catapulted into the 21st century. Okay, so she also contributed to space exploration. During her career at NASA, Thomas managed image processing systems for satellites, including work related to the Landsat program. These systems improve scientists' ability to study Earth's forests, oceans, which I believe is the NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Agency. Okay, agriculture and weather from space. It supported scientific research. Better satellite images have helped researchers monitor droughts, pollution, natural disasters, and climate changes, leading to more informed environmental decisions. Now, I want to point this out again. America would be a fifth world country without our great Black inventors. And that has to be pointed out because we have a lot of ignorance and hatred coming at our people, being perceived as takers and not givers. And we know that we are not the ones that benefit the most from DEI, welfare, and all of these other things that they have taught immigrants to this country. That's why I say that when you come into this country as an immigrant, you need to study Black history. Okay, that's very, very important. You need to study American history first because Black history is American history. But then because they hide so much of this from the history books, you got to dig a little deeper, okay? And in today's age, there is no excuse. We have many of our people, such as Lance, people in the family, and creators all over, Black creators, who have taken on this task of putting our true history and American history, true history out. Also, she inspired future generations. As a pioneering Black woman engineer and inventor, Valerie Thomas has inspired countless students, especially women and underrepresented minorities, to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which we call STEM. Overall, Valerie Thomas's work has had a lasting impact on medicine, imaging technology, earth science, space research, and STEM education, demonstrating how innovations in optics and image processing can improve both scientific understanding and everyday life. Okay, brother, if you want to put that visual of span, Uh, yeah, here we go. Oh, no, not that one yet.
Okay.
No, not yet. Go ahead. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
So
got you. Thank
now,
you.
PAN was basically a mini version of the internet. It connected scientists all over the world on a single network using some of the same technologies that are behind the internet today, much like our sisters, uh, like Shirley Jackson, Dr. Shirley Jackson, who was a great innovator of connecting people from around the world. So let's talk about this for a second, okay? Y'all all right, Lance? All right.
I had myself muted, but I'm
So
good. I'm good.
again, let's talk about some key facts concerning this. Dr. Valerie Thomas served as the project manager for the Space Physics Analysis Network, or SPAN, from 1986 to 1990. She helped expand and reconfigure the major computer network, okay, growing its reach from roughly 100 to 2,700 international nodes to help researchers share data on space and atmospheric phenomena. Now, let that sink in. This is extremely important because at the time, they were limited. Okay, before SPAN, they were not able on an international basis to communicate with other scientists from around the world. And this is extremely important because it moved the scientific space exploration programs for NASA into the 21st century. Key facts about Dr. Valerie Thomas and SPAN. Dr. Valerie Thomas is a pioneering American data scientist and inventor who worked at NASA from 1964. She got hired right out of Morgan State, actually, and she was 21 until her retirement in 1995. And by the way, it was incredible. She went back at 61 years old, okay, and so, you know, in our country, we're taught that it's not when you hit 50, you're on a decline. Well, that might be true for some people, but for people with you melanin, then you're entering into a phase that takes you higher. If you have
Exactly.
not been damaged by this Zoom system to the point
Right.
where you're buying into the fact that now you're supposed to retire and sit on the sidelines. In fact, she did some of her greatest work for inspiring young people after her 60s. Okay. Also, Space Physics Analysis Network, SPAN, was a computer network like the internet created to let scientists easily share scientific data and collaborate across different locations. Now, I don't need to tell you how important that was. Network expansion occurred during her tenure as manager from 1986 to 1990, expanding the system globally from just 100 computer nodes to 2,700 nodes. Now, I'll tell you something that's interesting about her as well. She was talking about the fact that when they put her in charge of this program, she had never even seen a computer. Okay? Think about that. So, this is why I'm saying a lot of the gifts that our children have, we stifle simply because we don't know the gifts that's inside of them. We're trying to gear them towards, that's why it's so many people that are unhappy today, that are depressed and unfulfilled, because they are burying their gifts to chase after fiat. When you got all these people telling you how to become a millionaire, okay, and you're not paying attention to your gift. which is worth trillions of dollars. Okay. And I remember something Dr. Miles Monroe said. He said, the greatest, how did he say it? He said that the greatest energy, or what's the word I'm looking for, potential of human beings lies in the cemetery. Because the majority of people have transitioned without leaving their creator-given gift to the world. And that's a powerful, when
Exactly.
I first heard that statement, I agree 1,000%.
And that's frightening
Okay. And
too.
this is
That's very
primarily
frightening.
why you are, see, we're not educated. We're educated to continue to grow fiat, okay, and for world colonialism and domination by the Azul system. You're not educated to improve the life of humanity. And that's an important aspect to look at. Okay, brother, let's go out. Let's look at another visual. Whichever one you put. Okay, now this is the illusion transmitter, right? This is, we know that this invention changed the world. Okay, because again, we're talking about the fact, um, that now we have the ability to analyze this data coming from outer space, these pictures. And prior to that, they were just pictures. Nobody could figure out, okay, what this means, what these images represent. Nobody could figure that out. Okay. So there was a time, and I was reading somewhere where, you know, the high IQ people, they were very frustrated with this. They were getting these pictures, they were getting all these pictures, but they couldn't do anything with them. So they eventually said, okay, we've got to find a way to decipher, okay, this information, all right, so that we can use it in the way that it's intended to be used. And in steps this sister, this creatrix, who absolutely had the answer that was given. So you have the power to manipulate light and don't even know it. Now, and we're not just talking about in a physical sense, we're talking about in a spiritual sense, which is the most important aspect, even in a psychological sense. You have the ability to control light. And in a psychological way, that's why you're always being attacked. Why anytime you look on YouTube, they're always talking about how sad a person's life is now, because all they know is death and destruction and caterpillar mentality. Okay. 90-degree angles. Okay. That's all they know. So this is why they study you so much, because you are the light. Okay. You are the light. But yet you've been trained to look to other people as the light. So when you are confronted with something, you have the ability to choose positive or negative. You have that ability. Okay. All right, brother, let's look at her patent real quick. Because again, thank you. Now, again, there are many people, and I remember my father, who had an 8th grade education, but built well, him and the deacons and the pastors from his churches built 7 churches all up and down the East Coast. He had this gift. He would have these long pieces of sheets of paper with blueprints. He built 3 houses. Now, he was not educated in this. So that's why I say academic training has a purpose. But most People gonna get angry at me. You know, I remember having a discussion one time. I was at an event myself, and people got angry at me because I was saying that academic training is just one aspect of the knowledge that we need to be visionaries. In fact, if you really look at it, the majority of our visionaries and inventors never had academic training. Okay, so this is the reason why you're taught to look down on people that don't have pieces of paper. And I'm by no means trying to downplay this because it takes a tremendous amount of effort. And I remember in high school, man, they do us wrong. Okay, you're not prepared. My first semester at Morgan, I was blown away because all they do is they give you a list of, well, they'll have a lecture, but they'll give you a list of books, maybe 10, and you have to go and write an essay. And in the next class, 3 or 4 days later, you have to present that, but you have to read those books, okay, in order to do that. And I'll admit, all I cared about was basketball. I was not really focused on that until maybe my junior year. So again, it also shows discipline. It shows your ability to focus on subjects. And we need that. We need people who are academically trained for certain things, particularly to keep us abreast of the various nuances that go on in the Azul system that they try to hide from our people. That's very important, okay, that our academic scholars are here. But also, it's important to have people who have these gifts of wisdom, okay, and these different gifts that are given to us by the Creator. All of us have, just like the different parts of our bodies. The nose can't do what the ears or eyes do. The legs can't do what the arms do. Have you ever tried to walk with your arms? Or have you ever tried to pick up something with your legs? Have you ever tried to see anything with your ears? See, all of this is a reason for this. But the point I was trying to make is she, by getting this, again, she did not get this in terms of from a classroom. She went to an event. Now, her physics and mathematical mind and training contributed to her ability to analyze this, but this gift was already inside of her. Okay, brother. I believe we have another visual.
No, that's it right now.
Do we have another visual, brother Lance, or is that it?
That's it, brother. That's it.
I don't know if you're still there or if you can hear me. Okay.
Yes, yes,
So
I'm
yeah.
still here.
So in closing, I want to make some statements about this because again, we're in one of the reasons why we're in the situation that we're in is because of the way that we view the creative spirit. Okay, living in a country that is dominated by white male misogyny has really destroyed. And I say this all the time. One of the reasons why we produce so many things in our civilizations in antiquity is because of the king and queen concept. Interesting thing, I was studying the laws of Mayat again, and then it's so fascinating because we live according to truth, justice, balance, harmony, righteousness, karma, and so this Mayan divine law and spirit is what propelled our people into the ability to live according to divine laws. And what was also so interesting is that kings, their primary function was to protect the Maotan laws. That was, now think about that. So what that tells you is that the creatrix is the foundation, the womb of the planet, okay? And when you destroy this or replace this in any kind of way you want to, then now you are opposing the fundamental law of the creator creature spirit. And with that, I'll close today, my brother.
Yes, brother. I don't know if you can hear me, but
I'll close on that one today, brother Lance.
yes, yes. I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, yes, I can. Let me see if something is going on here.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
If the family there could send a message to Lance, brother Lance.
Yes, I can hear you, brother. I can hear you loud and clear. I don't know what's happening, but I can't see your screen. I can only hear you.
Not knowing whether he got the.
Yes, I got the message, brother.
Information in terms of closing the show.
Yes, yes, I got it, brother.
Let me see if I can see the chat. If you guys can hear me, you send a message to Lance. And again, I thank you guys, all of you guys. Again, I don't like to call names because inevitably I'm going to miss someone. But you know, you guys know who you are. So off the top of my head, Queen Diane, Ronette Green, Queen Strawberry, I believe. And again, a lot of the brothers, Landon Price, Larry Hines, who gave me the moniker. All you guys, man, peace and love to you guys. I am going to have to get going because of what I got to do here at the center. And you guys stay strong. Look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Peace and love.